My name is Ali and I'm a 5th year med student. I've been through countless exams throughout my years in med school, and in most of these exams we had too much to study. I'm talking literal hundreds of papers that you will be questioned on in one exam. And obviously I didn't study perfectly in all of these exams. There were times where I had just procrastinated, or I was just too tired to study, occupied with different things, and there were times where the material was literally too much for us. I know this because even the big nerds used to complain and cry online. But throughout the years I've developed what for me is the perfect cramming system. It requires a minimum of 1 day, but it can be stretched over multiple days as well. This system consists of exactly 3 steps: summary papers, questions, and important topics. Let me walk you through it. The first thing you want to do is you want to find summary papers for your curriculum or whatever you will be examined on. It's likely that your school or your textbooks provide this kind of summary, but if it doesn't, then you could ask your friends for their own summaries. Or sometimes you'll even find the popular summaries of past students. But if you cannot find anything at all, then I suggest you try looking online for your topic. The info might not be identical, but if it's shorter than your main textbooks, then it will work. Now, once you have these summary papers, you have to read them intently. Read to try to understand as much as possible. And if you can memorize things along the way, then do that. This might be the longest step in the process, but it's also the most important. So basically building your foundation for the topic. If you haven't been studying the weeks or months leading up the exam, then this step needs to take its place. And depending on the situation, this might even be your first exposure to most of these topics, if not all of them. So make sure you do this step properly and take your time with it. If you don't understand anything, then just Google it. You'll find endless free resources that explain it to you easily and faster than what it would take to study it from the textbook. Now, once you're confident that you understood this summary, move on to the second step, which is solving questions. You want to prioritize the past exam questions. The only exception is if there are questions that the teacher told you will be on the exam, then that is more important than the past exam questions. But this is usually rare, so otherwise just focus on the past exam questions. Now, when solving them, it's likely that you won't be able to answer like 90% of them or more. But this is normal. You're not answering these questions to test yourself or to determine your level. The reason you're answering these questions is so you become familiar with the kind of questions that will be on the exam. Because if you go into the exam blind, there's going to be a lot of trouble. Most of the time when people are studying things, they can't determine what's important and what isn't. And honestly, it's impossible to, because the only person who knows what's important is the person who puts the exam. And what better way to find out what they think is important than by checking the exams that they put. But again, you want to try to memorize the answers of the question as much as possible as you go, because most of the time the questions are repeated on the following exams. They might not be repeated literally, but it's the same idea that is being repeated. Now, after you're done with the exam questions, you should check if there are textbook questions. You might even have like a workbook or a questions textbook. So the next thing you should do is you should answer these. And again, don't worry if you don't know the answer of most of the questions. Just try to memorize as much of the answers as you can. Now, once you're confident that you've covered as many questions as you can move on to the third step, which is reviewing the important topics from the main textbook. By that point, from your summary reading and your question answering, you should have a pretty solid idea of what topics in the curriculum are important and what aren't. You don't have the time to study all topics and ideas as good as each other. So what you should do is you should focus on the important topics. You should make like a sort of ranking of what the most important topic is, and then what's the second most important, and so on. And you can figure that ranking out by the number of questions that each topic has in the past exams. So you might find that topic A has only like 5 questions in the past 10 exams, while topic B has like 30 questions in the last 10 exams. So obviously topic B is more important than topic A. So now go open up your main textbook and start properly studying the important topics. So when most people cram, they start with this step. But there are 2 problems with doing that. The first is that it's gonna take way too long if you're studying from the textbook compared to a summary. And the second is that you're gonna waste too much time on topics that are not important and that rarely come up in exams. And these 2 problems are solved with the previous 2 steps. So now it's like you're studying the important topics with like a sniper's precision. Like you're going in and you're getting the maximum amount of value that you can get in a fraction of the time. And just keep going down the topics as much as your time allows. And this is how you cram as effectively and efficiently as possible. If you try this process, feel free to write your experience in the comments. And if you want me to personally help you on your academic journey, I run a mentorship program where for 30 days, I'll give you weekly hour-long calls where I teach you how to study as effectively as possible, and daily short check-in calls where I tell you exactly what you need to study and make sure you stay on track by giving you motivation and accountability. I'll basically make sure that you study as effectively as a top-performing med student. If you're interested, you can check the first link in the description. Do your best out there and good luck.